Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Sunday night here in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to be doing a special episode today because I had the chance to sit down with my good friend Johnnie Tips from the Thrall's Balls podcast. He's a great person, great interview. I really enjoyed being able to talk to him and just kind of sit around and talk about World of Warcraft and music and all sorts of things. So really good interview. I really had a good time. So I hope you enjoy that. And so we'll get to that here in just a moment. I did want to go over, there's a little bit of news that I wanted to touch really quickly. We'll do a little bit more in depth on some of the things here in the future. Before I get to any of that, really quickly, I just want to say update from my World of Warcraft Classic Guild, where I have been raid leading my team in the Burning Crusade. We managed to clear Karazhan last night. So Saturday night raid, we broke up in our Karazhan group. Last week, we couldn't get past the Curator. This week, we did a full clear, Nightbane, Nether Spite, the whole shebang. I was really happy, really proud of my team. And it felt good. It felt good to actually get something accomplished. We'll see how it goes next week. But that felt really good, and was really happy that we were able to get that done. So that was my big accomplishment last week. We still didn't get Mike Therodon down. I think we were having some trouble. Our tank is he's doing really well, but he doesn't have the gear yet. So I think it's just a matter of getting him a few more pieces of gear, and then we should be fine on that one. So like I said, I don't need to go into a whole bunch of detail, but I did want to I did want to point that out, that the team stepped up. We got we had, 3 substitutes in there last week or last night because, still people not showing up. And it is concerning to me that you sign up for I want to be on a raid team. And then when it comes time to raid, you go, actually, no, I don't. That feels a little weird to me. And I really think that if you are considering raiding, whether you're playing Midnight or the Burning Crusade, or maybe when Classic Plus comes out, you're thinking, I might want to raid in Classic Plus. Think it through and make sure that you know what you're saying. When you commit to a team and you say, I want to raid, I want to be part of this team, it is a commitment. Yes, it's air quote, just a video game, but you are committing to 9 other people, 24 other people, 39 other people. And you're saying, I'm going to spend my time with you. And so to just blow those people off, it feels kind of rude. And so I would just say, please think it through before you sign up for a raid team. Make sure that you have the time. Make sure you have the availability. And if you don't, if you signed up and you realize this isn't going to work, talk to somebody. Talk to your GM. Talk to an officer in your guild, whatever. These are real people. And they have real feelings, and they have to put in effort to make these raids work. So, it's worth at least saying, hey, I changed my mind. I'm not going to be able to make it. So anyway, just something I wanted to point out there. I think it's important that we all remember that these are real people, and they do have real feelings and real time commitments, and everybody else has committed to this time that you have too, except you're not honoring that commitment. So anyway, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. I didn't do a whole lot of midnights last week. I mostly just ran around and I worked on the prey system, which I love now. I feel like it's really good. I didn't like it at first. I was like, this seems kind of dumb. I don't know. I don't get it. Now that I'm doing it, it's great. It's a really good way to get you through world quests if that's something you're having trouble with. And it's a really fun system. I think that it's something that Blizzard can build on in the future. And hopefully this is a new evergreen system that we're just going to get going forward, like delves or like warbands or whatever it is, dragon riding. Take something that was introduced in an expansion, but then have it go on beyond the expansion. Yes, please. So yeah, Prey, I think it's something that's going to be really fun. Obviously, we don't know what the nightmare mode is going to look like yet, but I'm sure it'll be fun. And that's it. That's all I did last week. Not a lot to go over. I did want to get into the news because I want to talk about 12.0.5. So we're going to get into that really quickly, and then I will get us into the interview with Mr. Johnnie Tips.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so there's a couple of things that are on the store that I wanted to point out. Last week there was I talked about the Flying Squirrel mounts. There's also a crazy Cobalt collection that is available, 4 different colors there as well. It's just a Cobalt transmog set. And you look like a Cobalt, and it's like the pajama transmog dress up things. It's fun. That's not something I'm going to wear, but some people like it, and it's cool. There's 4 different sets. They are $20 each, or you can buy all 4 of them for $40. So if you're looking for some fun transmogs to just, maybe you have a funny transmog raid, or you have, you got some RP going, or you just feel like wearing your pajamas around, there's no reason why you can't. So, check that out. It's on the Blizzard or the Battle.net store right now. Also, the Rufus Charity Pack, which contains it's the dog with the hard hat and the wrench that they advertised over the last when they did the roadmap in January. So we've got he'll be available, plus the housing decor items, and I think it's a version of him is in modern and classic WoW. That'll be available on March 17th. I don't know how much that it's going to cost, but that it will be available March 17th. So you can definitely check that out. And the final thing for the store items, I know. Final thing for the store items. Last week I mentioned that the garden trellis that was part of the Lush garden trellis, which was part of the set that was on the Blizzard store, but you couldn't buy it individually. You can now buy it individually for $250 Hearthsteel or $2.50. So if you're looking for a piece of cool trellis in your player house, you can check that out. Or not. You don't have to. You can just use the one that's available from the vendor. That one works too. So, okay. Let's talk about 12.0.5. So Blizzard gave us a look ahead at patch 12.0.5 and what we're going to get. So really quickly here, because we're going to do a deeper dive on this in a future episode. This is just the first announcement version of what's coming. First off is Void Assaults. The forces of the Void are vying for position and control among themselves in a bid for more power. As they seek every opportunity they can, attacks begin in Eversong Woods and Zulaman zones. It's just basically like the Legion Assaults, same type of thing. Void Strikes take part in Eversong Woods or Zulaman on a weekly rotation. Once completed, a new one will begin in another part of the zone and continue to rotate through the zone. So you won't have to wait for them to come up. As soon as one ends, you just go find the next one, and it'll be available there. And then the Void Incursions, these are larger scenarios that occur when enough Void Strikes have been completed in the zones, and will take the might of many of Azeroth's champions to defeat them. Or like 2 tanks. It'll just take them an hour. So that's like the big feature that's coming in patch 12.0.5. We did Legion Assaults in Legion, obviously, and we just had them again with Legion Remix. And I like the Legion Assaults. I thought they were good. But I don't know that we necessarily need to do them again. But Blizzard seems to keep going back into that Legion well, and it's hard to blame them because Legion was so popular. So there you go, Legion Assault, or I'm sorry, Void Assaults. My bad. Will be coming with patch 12.0.5. Ritual sites put a stop to rituals meant to empower the ambitions of power-hungry Naga and Twilight's Blade cultists in small 1 to 5 player instances. As you take on greater challenges, you'll be able to receive greater rewards. In ritual sites, you'll choose some of the challenges you'll face as you climb through the tiers. Players will also unlock Great Vault rewards for the World Content Row alongside Delves and Prey. Players will earn field accolades from both Void Assault and ritual sites as currency they can use to purchase champion and hero quality gear and rewards. So it's just another world content. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work because it's 1 to 5 player instances. So I don't know if this is going to be like a scenario type thing or how that's going to work, but that'll be cool. Looking forward to more world, more solo friendly content. That's definitely something that Blizzard has been adding more to the game, and I'm happy for that. I'm hoping that they continue to do more so. Get a leg up with the Void Forge. So the Void Forge will provide new opportunities for players at midnight to take their game further. See, to me, this is silly because it's like, why do we need to keep doing this boosting thing? Anyway, you'll help aid Dominar Decimus build a Void Forge to begin transmuting nebulous void cores, which are transmutable into powerful equipment upon defeating powerful foes in Midnight Season 1 raids or completing Mythic Plus dungeons, Bountiful Delves, and Prey hunts on Nightmare difficulty. After unlocking the Void Forge, Decimus will require additional assistance to craft the Ascendant Nilhammer, allowing players to upgrade their weapons and trinkets to new heights by collecting Ascendant Void Cores. So basically, instead of the turbo boost that we got last expansion, this is the way they're going to do it now. It's only for weapons and trinkets, and it's going to be, you have to earn the currency by doing stuff, and same thing as before. They're just putting a new skin on it, and it's only for certain items. So I mean, it's fine. I guess this is just the new normal now. There's going to be some sort of a turbo boost with the 0.5 patch going forward, and that's okay. Decor duels. Amidst all the danger that swirls above Azeroth, there's something to be said for having a little fun. Players can join in a team versus team hide-and-seek game taking place in Silvermoon City through the group finder tool in the PvP tab to either hide as various housing decor items or seek out those who have donned the guise of an item. So yeah, there's going to be rewards, mounts, toys, housing, decor, and whatnot. This sounds fun. It sounds really fun. This also sounds like something that's really fun if you have a group of friends that wants to go do that. Maybe you don't feel like running Mythic Plus a night. Maybe you want to just sit around and have a drunk hide and seek night or whatever. That's cool. We'll see how this goes. A lot of times when Blizzard adds things that are frivolous like this, they don't really go very far. But if they're putting housing decor behind it and mounts, then people will participate. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And the final thing that they're adding in is the Abyss Anglers. Dive deep into the shimmering waters off Zulamon's rugged coast, where schools of exotic fish swarm just beneath the surface in a new repeatable event, Abyss Anglers. Team up to spear as many as you can and rack up points to unlock fishing rewards and upgrades to your diver gear, allowing you to venture deeper into the abyss where the greatest treasures await. Seek out depth diver Jeju to suit up and enter the depths, zip through whirlpools, catch creatures with your harpoon, and discover treasures amidst the underwater steam vents. Prove your mastery to earn dive equipment, upgrades, and cosmetics. Underwater fishing. I didn't know that we were going to get underwater fishing. That was not on my bingo card for Midnight. And I mean, it's cool. It's fine. I'll try it. I have not been impressed with any of the world events that they have done so far in Midnight. I'm not impressed. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that, the feast was great in Dragonflight. I loved the feast. The theater troupe was fantastic in the War Within. The Awakening the Machine was okay. It was fine. I mean, I liked it, but that's not something that I'm going to be like, oh my God, that was my favorite feature from the... No, it was cool. But sometimes you get events that are just a little weird, like the hunts in whatever that zone was called, Onaran Plains. Those were okay. I mean, they weren't only in Onaran Plains. They were the centaur hunts, but the centaurs were from... Anyway, the point is, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. We'll have to see as we get more details, as we get closer to a release date for patch 12.0.5. It is technically it's on the PTR, but the PTR is still offline, so we can't see anything on it, but it is data mineable, I guess. So we should be getting information about that over the next couple of weeks. All right. That's the 12.0.5 news. There's a bunch of hot fixes. I did hot fixes last week and I realized, that's not what I want to do. So there's pretty much going to be hot fixes every day. But the big thing that's coming on the 17th is class tuning. And we have the class tuning list already. I'm not going to get into it right now. I'll talk about it next week when we do the Race to World first episode, but there is class tuning coming in, and there's a lot of it. So be ready for that. Not every class is getting touched, but there's a pretty significant amount of classes that are getting tuned in one way or another. So keep an eye out for that. If you're concerned about your class one way or the other, class tuning will be here on Tuesday, March 17th. So be ready for that. And there you go. All right. We're going to jump right into the interview now with Johnnie Tips. Like I said, really good guy. Really enjoyed the interview, and I hope you do too.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
All right, we have a special treat today as we welcome to the show one of the co-hosts of the Thrall's Balls podcast and a very good friend of mine, the debonair, dignified, distinguished Dark Iron Demonology Warlock, Johnnie Tips. Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
So good to have you on there. I heard Willie's D attack last episode of Thrall Balls, and I died laughing. It was
I was asking for it. Okay, I made such a big point about it, and the thing is, I honestly did. I thought about it for maybe like 10 seconds. I was like, he does always constantly do that every episode. So now it's become a whole thing. Now it's a whole
It's great. Yeah, you got to have those little bits that just kind of grow and turn into their own thing. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm in a new house. We just moved in. It's kind of funny because we were going to buy a house back in 2019. That's when we were kind of thinking about buying a house. Me and my partners, her and I we were thinking about it. Like, hey, maybe we should do this. It's a good idea, and it's not like we're married or anything, so it's kind of like a big decision to make. So,
right.
we put the kibosh on it, and then 2020 happened. So we just stuck to wherever we were renting at the time, and she was at where she was, and I was where I was at for a few years, and then we saw the rates drop this past winter, and we were like, let's do this right now.
This time, yeah.
It's even though it's a little higher than usual, we can always refi later or whatever. But we got the cash now. Let's just do it before we can't do it again. And so we just went and did it and pulled the trigger. And now I'm still like hanging artwork up. Yeah, I've got my keyboard here. And I'm still kind of vibing out the office recording room. I gotta soundproof this room still. I'm still figuring that out, and we just had our first guest this past week. We were dog sitting for a little while and off and on, so we're the new dog sitting house.
It's so fun playing adult and being like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a house, So it's good. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know. I never saw myself buying. I always saw myself as like a living downtown type of vibe, renting or buying a condo of some kind and just living the condo life and doing that. But it just wasn't in the cards for me, I guess. Just happened,
it happens to everyone. Suddenly you wake up and you're living in the suburbs with a house and you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah, exactly. It took a little later than what you would imagine, but it happened, and I finally am stable enough in my career and what I do for a living and all that to where I can do that. So,
Yep, I feel that. We couldn't buy a house until we moved out of LA. So, housing prices there are just bonkers.
Yeah, no, we're not in LA. We're in the Central Texas region, and it's a whole different market out here. It can get pretty pricey in certain cities here, but it's not the same caliber scale. Unless you're buying a really big place, like a mansion or whatever.
Yeah, LA, Seattle, New York, it's a different animal.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a couple friends in Boston and in DC, and they used to live in New York and whatever, and they would tell me some of the rent prices. I was like, is that a house? That's
crazy.
And it's like a little 1-bedroom, and they're sharing with somebody and they're splitting it. It's like the same price as like a house here or somewhere else, and it's pretty wild.
That's cool. So let's talk about World of Warcraft, since that's the game that we both play.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to do, because my whole idea when I started this series was I like to talk to people and kind of get the feeling, not just what do you do, but why do you do what you do. So let's start off with, why don't you tell me your WoW origin story? How did you start playing? What got you into the game?
So 2006, I picked up a trial for 30 days. It was before Nax. Pre-Nax, I don't even think they had even announced it yet. It hadn't come out yet, but I think people were talking. There was rumors about it. It might have been 2005, but it was like, I want to say summer 2006 or spring 2006, if that kind of jives your memory, the kind of time frame.
Yeah, it was early 2006 for Nax.
Yeah, so either Nax had just come out and no one had finished it yet, or like, I remember
Nax came out in June, so
this would have been like April, March. So like, it would have been like
everyone was getting ready.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I did a 30-day trial, and then I did a second 30-day trial. I got to like level 40, I think. I got my Void Walker, and I was playing an Undead Warlock in vanilla PvP server. And I got stuck in Darkshore and whatever, what's the other town over there by Darkshore? There's the two, Terran Mill. So I was trying to take the Terran Mill. I had just finished doing Shadowfang Keep for like 10 levels to farm it.
Sure.
And I was trying to get to the flight point to take it to go to BFD.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So I was doing that trek, okay? Trying to hoof it and trying to figure that out. And I had no idea. I think I got to Zoran Strand, and then I tried going to 1,000 Needles, I think, and that's when I stopped playing the game.
Okay. So you were all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to figure out what to do, and my friends were playing, and this was in 2 30-day trials. So 30-day trial, and then I paid for a month, and then I went to college, and I stopped playing all video games altogether. And I didn't play again for 10, 12 years.
Okay.
Before that, I was a hardcore StarCraft player in Broodlord.
Oh, yeah, StarCraft.
I did user map setting games. I made those with my friends in middle school and high school. If you ever played a game called Boxbound or some of the other Bound games and Sunken Defense games, me and my friends made a bunch of those back then. My friend had a T1 internet line, and I would go to his house and we'd play off his computer, and we would like design levels together, and we were trying to get the sprite times and exploding archons and stuff, and figure out like how to make those explode right, and trying how many milliseconds or whatever to have them. I was like 13. I don't know. I didn't know anything about programming or anything. You're just messing around, and we made a bunch of these old games. I think there was one we made that was like a DBZ RPG type game that we did. We also did, it was like a Cell Saga thing. We also did one on like, there's a bunch of these games. There were other ones there was other games that were similar too, but we didn't know how to, anyway. So jump 10 years after Vanilla WoW was Cataclysm. So 2011, 2012. MOP was already announced. This was like summer 2012. So the last wing of LFR had just come out for Dragon Soul. It was that, and HOTs were out. So the last piece of content for the expansion was out. It was like, and that's right when I started playing the game again. My brother, I was playing League of Legends hardcore, obsessively, really bad. I was like smoking inside with the window open, 12, 16-hour days, constantly pushing for gold, trying to make it. There was I don't even think there was platinum yet. It was before that was even a thing. It was like you did that and then you would eventually get on a tournament or whatever realm. And I was pushing my way through bronze and silver and all that stuff. There was no ERAM. ERAM was like a random customs game that you would make on Summoner's Rift, and everyone just like, yep, everyone stay in bed. And it was all self-policed, and it was a whole thing. And, so that was going on. And my brother was like, you need to stop playing that game. You need to come to WoW with me. and the Turing X2 rocket recruiter friend was happening.
Right.
And that's how I got into the game was then. And then I leveled up a mage and a death knight and a paladin. And those were my first classes, actually. I didn't even play, when I played Warlock originally, I was playing mage and death knight mostly. Mage, I was a no mage engineer. And then I was a Tauren paladin, and I had a Worgen death knight. And those are my 3 first tunes.
So, did you have a decision point where you're like, do I pick Alliance or Horde, or were you just kind of trying?
My brother pushed me into Alliance when I came back because they were in the process of, they were on Thrall, and they were in the process of switching to the Scryer server and and joining like a family friends guild. So I guess their old raid team had fallen apart. And they were kind of scrimmaging their friends together from the old Thrall server and converting everyone to Alliance. So I kind of got pigeonholed in doing Alliance when I joined. I was naturally always a Horde player when I first started. I was leaning towards Horde. I assumed that's what everyone did. But my brother was like, "Oh, let's play Alliance," and I started liking Alliance because I like dwarves and I like the aesthetic. I like all of that, so I'm all into that kind of an underground stone work type of aesthetic. So that was and I don't like playing tall characters because I'm very tall, so I always want to play something that's not like myself when I play a video game. So playing like a big brawny character is not what I want to play. I want to play something that's not like me. So I always try, that's why I played Gnome. And I was a male old Gnome mage that was an engineer, and that was kind of the vibe I went for on my first character, and then my Worgen Death Knight, Frost, Blood. And
so did you play through after that? Like, were you're like, okay, I'm playing WoW now, or did you come and go?
I was already kind of hooked. What got me hooked, honestly, was my brother kind of telling me about the story and the lore. It was honestly me. I was already hooked back in vanilla. But I was very anti-video games, and I was like very environmentalist, and I had a lot to say, and I was very
sure,
biting my thumb towards anything video game related when I was younger. And then as I got older, I was like, let me try. I started seeing more of the artistic writing, and really, what got me really into WoW was playing through Stone Talon Mountains. Actually, it was that storyline. And Cataclysm, and then hearing about how, and then going through Undercity and seeing how, like, after seeing like the cutscene from Warcraft 3, then going through Undercity and hearing the bell tolls and all that stuff and kind of playing through it. And I actually went, because back in Cataclysm, you still had to go through a lot of the old content still. You couldn't just skip stuff, So I went through all the old zones and started playing that. Red Ridge Mountains was great. I loved Westfall. I thought that whole, but I never knew about the whole connection to what's-her-face, the dragon, Onyxia. I didn't find that out till later.
Spoiler alert.
Right? Well, I mean, still, like, I didn't know about that whole storyline, that classic storyline from forever ago. I had no idea about any of that. Like, I was trying to connect the dots and just talk to my brother. And then also Darkshore, when you find that random old god waterfall and you go into that little cave and it looks like alien, I'm like, what is this? I was just so fascinated.
Yeah.
Wailing Cavern was fascinating to me, and like this Dire Maul. Honestly, one of my favorite dungeons in all of WoW is Mordon Dire Maul. Low key, like those are two of my favorite dungeons. Like when I was leveling through Classic, I really like. If I were to have a dungeon for them to bring back as like a new dungeon, it'd be Dire Maul, Dire Maul West and Warpgate. And just like that whole like going to, because I play a Warlock. I fell in love with Dire Maul when I played Sod Season of Discovery, and I did my Warlock quest. For the epic mount,
right?
And I did that whole Zoroth journey, and I went and did it, and I had never experienced that before. And that was a whole thing for me too. And anyway,
Dire Maul Mythic Plus, right? That was,
that's
that would be good.
Or Mordon, either one.
Yeah, Mordon's just so long though, man.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to do the whole thing. You would just take like one. It'd be like return. It'd be like Kara's like return to Mordon type deal, where you can take it like just a segment of it, and just do the part where it's the story returning to the waterfall area.
Yeah, Earthsong Falls. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can just do that as one half, and then you can do another half where it's just the cave part, and that's it. And you do the whole Satyr part. Satyr's always fascinated me. I've always been fascinated with that whole storyline. Now I found out Queen of Jari and all that stuff, and I got super into that. Playing wise, Mop was my first expansion released as it came out. So I rated hard I played pretty casual. We did normal mode and Mogush and Vaults and Throne of Thunder, and then the group I was in fell apart. So I went. I'm going to go into heroic mode. So I went and did heroic 10-man and 25-man on Illidan, and I was plugging raids, just trying to get in and with my parses and stuff as a warlock. And I was actually playing Affliction, not Demonology. I had the trinket. I was playing Demo too, but I was very contrarian, and I wanted to be like, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to be different.
Yeah, I'm going to be different. I'm going to go and play Affliction and still beat you on the meter. And and I did. I would beat Demo locks in the meter back then. And on Tordos and stuff, and it took or Duramu, and I actually pugged with some guys. It was a mixture of Rignoros's guild, their alts, and there was a guy in Limit that was in there before it was called Liquid or whatever. There was a couple guys in there from years ago.
It's Complexity Limit or something.
It was just Limit. This was before Complexity Limit. This was Throne of Thunder days. This was some dude, Mr. Lockout, or there was maybe a trial or whatever that was that had got sat for the week or something, was looking to get their run in. It was that kind of thing, It was a random ponies guild, something, not My Little Ponies, but something rainbows. It had some weird name to that effect, and back in the World of Logs days, and I did that for a while, and I played in Restokin's guild for a while during Siege of Orgrimmar. And then I joined this other guild called Pirate at the end of Siege of Orgrimmar into Warlords.
Right. And
then that guild fell apart eventually during Only the Mountain Falls. Or whatever, or whatever the big rock boss in Highball, whatever in Texas.
Yeah, I never raided in Warlords. I only did not Hellfire Citadel, the one before Blackrock Foundry. I went back and did Blackrock Foundry at the end of Warlords, and that was it. I never.
So a tail end of Warlords, and you went into Blackrock Foundry, and that was it. Oh man.
Yep.
That was one of the last bosses I did hardcore cutting edge prog on. I was a Demo Warlock, and I had to do the jump on the platform in the second phase, and I had to, me and the Boomkin had to time our jumps after Hunters had used all of their, when we pushed phase 1, and I was one of the guys that had to do a paratrooper jump, do my demonic leap right at the right time to make sure that I would land on the little circle platform and kill the ads and save all my stacks of Hand of Gul'dan and do chaos waves and nuke them down. And it was a whole, I remember that whole, it was a whole insane.
It's burned into your memory now.
Oh, 300 plus pulls? Yeah, you're going to remember that pull.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Yeah. I quit doing Mythic Radiant and Uldir.
Okay.
It was that stupid monstrosity, whatever. It looks like the one from Trial of Valor.
Yeah.
The 3-headed dog dragon boss,
right.
whatever. Fetid monstrosity, whatever, or fetid devourer, or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I cut it. I was like, nah, I'm out.
We're done.
Now
yeah.
we're done here. Yeah, I was like, I'm good on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you still raid, or do you just okay? So you just
I used to do heroic. I used to do heroic mode now. Regular art, new heroic mode, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tried to play Classic. I can't. If I had the time, I probably would.
Right.
That's why I like SOD, because it was so quick to level, and I could still somewhat get the Classic experience. Really, what I wanted was the old quest lines. That's really why I liked SOD. It's like I had to experience the OG quest lines and stuff, because you can't see that, like a ZG and all that, or any of those other, I never got to see those old raids, like original ZG raid. I never got to see that, so it was, that's kind of what I miss. I wish they would do more of that and bring those things back, but.
Well, so I was going to ask you, because, there's a lot of rumors still swirling about Classic Plus. What do you feel about that? Like, is that something that's interesting to you, or are you just like, I don't have time for that?
I liked it. I would like Classic Plus to be a thing if I had the time. But honestly, the way my life is, I barely have time for retail even. Yeah. So retail, before, it was great during the downtime when there was no rating in WoW and there was those gaps. I could, especially during the holidays and whatnot. That's when I played SOD. It was during my little Christmas break time, whatever holiday season vibe, Right. So I could just dump a bunch of times. I had time off work. I could just dunk it right into that, and that's where I tried to sink my time into, and I was able to do that in level 1 to 60 and over a few months and do my daily to get the gold and save up for the mount and stuff. And I liked how they did the dailies for that. I did not like those weird green dragon areas. I did not like those.
I hated that. That's when I quit. That's when I quit SOD.
Yeah.
When they did the Emerald Nightmare portals, I was like, I'm done.
I pushed through that because it kind of made it bitter. It was kind of like, because I didn't have to do it for that long. So it was just like a leveling mechanism for me. So it was just like, I can just turn these plots in and get a bunch of levels. And that was what I used it for. But I was like questing. I just wanted to, I quested through, because I leveled undead. So I did all the old Eastern Kingdom zones for leveling. I went back to Kalimdor, did I finally finished all 1,000 needles, and I went through Undoral Crater. When you weren't level high enough to get by the dragon, you could dodge the dragon, make sure that the dinosaur, the T-Rex guy, and sneak through to get to the other side to pick up the Silithus quest, and then go back. And I remember I loved it. I loved that. It was great. The mystery of Daenerys and finding out wait, what is going on here? Well, I obviously I knew what was going on because I played retail, but I love how the unfolding of everything was in Classic, and that's why
it feels like a mystery, even though you know the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Classic is in such a weird spot. So you say you started in Cata, but you really kind of hit the ground running in MoP. What does that mean to you now that MoP is part of Classic WoW? Does that feel weird, or are you just like, whatever?
I am considering, because I played it back then, I didn't, and I did, and if they had not done a remix,
right,
I probably would have played MoP Classic.
Okay.
So I would have missed playing the old Dot class, because I played a Dot class back then. So for me, I missed that gameplay of doing the snapshotting, and that's really what I liked about playing WoW back then was the skill gap. You could really skill gap someone by knowing what you were doing and be able to actually really pull that off and really be able to do that. You could teach someone, but obviously there was that skill involved and really skill expression with having that knowledge, and I really liked that about MoP at the time. It's what drew me into higher end content, because before I was fine just vibing, but because that's gone now, that kind of gameplay, but Remix kind of took all that away because I already have all the collectibles I would ever want.
Right, it's just the quests. Yeah,
I even did the Green Fire quest back then when it first came out, at content.
Okay. Nice.
I did the Green Fire in 5.04 or whatever it was. Pre Throw of Thunder the Isle of Thunder had just come out, but the raid wasn't out yet. So I farmed that rare on the island, and I went and did it really quick. That's when I did it. It was back then.
Nice.
I was still in raid gear from Terrace at the time. Right. So that's I always hold in my heart. That was my favorite piece of content I ever did.
Nice.
That was that's always been a heartfelt moment for me, playing the game. was that I felt like I achieved something by doing that. More so.
Those were your formative years for WoW.
Yeah,
that's cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Let's bring it to modern WoW. Let's talk about Midnight and the World Soul Saga. What are your thoughts on the World Soul Saga so far? How we've gone through the War Within. We started off with Midnight.
I'm actually okay. So I'm gonna preface this with I love Zolomon. That was my favorite zone. I also really love the Eretor quest line. A lot of people give it slack, but honestly, going back to, I don't know if a lot of people were talking about this, but the thing is, I haven't gone back on retail after doing the quest to see if the plaques are there, but I don't remember the plaques being readable in Scarlet Halls in that room when we normally fight what's his face with the swirling blades. Like,
it was Herod. I don't remember who it is now. Armsmaster Harlan or something.
Harlan, yeah. Herod, whatever. Herod, yeah, whatever. That guy. So
something.
Where he normally is, and you fight that other lady, and then I love that. I love that whole story arc. I was totally signed up. Sign me up. I'm in. I did not care for the end of Eversong Woods with the whole Tyrallion dad son thing. Like, I spoiler warning. I was not into that. I was also not into like the whole like dysfunctional parenting thing. I was kind of annoyed. I was kind of like, really? Let's get,
why are they making him such a douchebag?
No, I get why they had to make him seem like a douchebag. So like, it's so obvious for then some people that won't get it. I understand that, but also I'm waiting to give an opinion on that because, as we know, with War Within, after the initial quest line, there was more story that came out, and they're doing this whole time-gated story thing. And I was amazed during War Within when they did the whole weekly quest line when you go turn into Titan chips.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. I love that. Yeah. Right? That was goated. So that's that's my expectation right now. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to wait for the other shoe to drop before I really give like a full before I ascertain my feelings on how I feel about it. But I do like how a lot of people give Harundar a lot of crap. But Harundar, I feel like, was more of a world-building zone, not a lore narrative story zone, in my opinion.
Sure, yeah.
That's how I feel about it, because I liked how it gave me a lot of backdrop on older lore and kind of like how the world trees are connected and like just seeing different spirits. And like, wait, there's spirits that tend to the roots still after all these years, even though this tree doesn't even exist anymore. That's crazy. And then kind of think about how that relates to the Emerald Dream and how the Rift of On and the Emerald Nightmare and kind of like where are these things coming from? For me, I saw it all as a world building exercise for Last Titan. As how I saw Harundar, not as a linear narrative story to connect to the Midnight.
It definitely does feel like it was something that was pulled out of the War Within and just dropped into Midnight. Like they didn't have time to fit it in, or they decided to change the story or whatever. I don't mind
sprites, right? The little sprite, animations, for the first quest, whatever it is.
Yeah, there's so many things in there that feel more War Within than Midnight, but from a story standpoint, I'm not a big fan of the Heronir. I thought I was going to like them, and once we got into it, I was like, this isn't for me. But it's okay, and as long as they're building towards something, I'm fine with it. But
and that's what I felt. That's how I felt with the Harundar zone. I saw it more as a world building exercise for hooking up for a later story point. I saw that more as a feature hook, not as we're doing something right now. But I feel like I still haven't done all the side quests yet. I've only done Eversong Woods. I've done every quest. I did every single quest in Eversong Woods, and I did all the main campaign through the whole story. So I've done all that. And I'm just now kind of doing the Prey and some of the other stuff. By the way, I actually like Prey. It's the first time.
I didn't like it at first.
I hate the first Prey. I hate it. Yeah. But as I was doing my weekly stuff, I was like, this is awesome. Because now there's this thing I just pick up. I go and do my weeklies and it just happens. I don't have to think about it. And it takes care of itself. And it's very convenient. And that's why I like about it. Because it's very and it adds a difficulty to doing that dull gameplay that we all hate of doing the weeklies. Right? That became really monotonous and boring later on in the expansion. This is a nice touch to add a layer of difficulty to that content, which is what I find great about Prey. Now, normally I hate doing that kind of content. I don't like it. I think the only thing I liked from last expansion was the waves, but only after they let you skip the make them go faster in the ring.
The Awakening Machine.
The Awakening Machine. I actually didn't like that, but I only liked it when they added the button where you can make it go faster. You know,
just come on, let's keep this moving. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
That's my vibe, right? Yeah.
I think that some of the day-to-day gameplay or week-to-week gameplay in WoW, it's definitely improved over the years, and I feel like there's a much more focus on players playing by themselves, even if they're not air quotes solo players like solo queue. You know, it's like maybe you're part of a guild and maybe you're running M+, but sometimes you just want to go do some world quests without worrying about other people. And I like that they're giving you more avenues for that gameplay. So,
yeah, for me, I see it as like, oh, there's no. I'm like, oh, I'm up in the morning early as hell and no one's online. I can still get my stuff done. I don't have to sit around and wait for somebody. I can keep the momentum. And maybe I finish a couple delves and someone pops online and we do a Mythic 0 or a Mythic 12 or whatever we're doing, whatever it is. But in terms of my goals for the season usually is heroic AOTC, and then maybe I do all 12s by the end of the season. And that's kind of my max goal. Usually I just go for 10s. And get the portals, and if I want to, I'll get my resilient key for 12s, and that's like my achievement for the season.
They've made it easier to get to that point, though, haven't they? Like it's more.
I don't know. I haven't done that. I'm assuming they have. I did notice the difference between season 1 and season 2 for sure. Season 1 War Within was rough.
Yeah,
that was a rough and toughie. That was I need some lube. Like that's a whole nother like just 2 in 1, more like 4 in 1.
Yeah,
you know that was what that felt like for season 1. I'm trying to do, and the thing is, I really like that dungeon. Not Dire Maul, what's it called? The one with the red dragons in the Twilight Highlands and Jalotap. Grimbatul, thank you. I always think of the priest Morgood, whatever her name was, and that Jalotap and the red dragons and all that, the Twilight Dragonflight and all that.
That was I liked the dungeon pool that season. I wasn't having fun running the dungeons because I was playing a tank. And tanks were in the rough spot.
What kind of tank? I'm just curious.
A Blood DK. That's
okay.
Denethar is my Blood Death Knight, and so whenever I'm not sure who to play, I always default back to that character.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So as far as the World Soul Saga going forward, we could speculate on all the different things that we think will happen. What do you think is going to happen after the World Soul Saga? What is your prediction for what are we going to see in 3 years when the last Titan is done and we've defeated all the Titans or whatever we end up doing? What does WoW look like in 3 years or so?
Okay, so I've got a couple of different theories on this. One, they repackage WoW into a different kind of model and becomes part of the Microsoft, what's it called? Game Pass. I think it goes on Game Pass, and they develop a new trilogy of expansions, but they're free to play and becomes a free to play game. That's one theory. Another theory, they just do another trilogy, and they have a whole new story arc, and that becomes their new one-shot story arc, is these trilogies. Instead of doing them because before with medicine was all about doing it like Warhammer or D&D, where it's one campaign, this is your story, and then everything's separated, right? And this is just the world that you're in, and then this is just a story around in this world, right? And that was kind of their original intention, right? If I'm not mistaken, like that was their whole dichotomy originally. And because it's become such a big, vast universe, they kind of have pushed themselves into a situation where they need to lengthen that to make more, meet financial goals, two, to meet, metric goals for whatever internal metrics they're trying to meet, or three, just making sure they have population numbers are staying even throughout the year. So I feel like there's a couple different options, unless the third thing is something happens in the World Soul Saga, which what I think the Argentina is going to serve as a multi-point story arc to observe the old universe.
Okay. Oh, I like that idea.
Okay, and that's going to be our portal point to old Azeroth. And then there's going to be a new universe that we play in.
Right. Okay.
And the Argentina is going to be kind of like our Caverns of Time.
So you can still run back and do all those old
raids
and dungeons or whatever.
And that'll be our through line.
I like
to the old universe. And I feel like if they're going to do a WoW 2, I feel like the Argentina is kind of like their home base of what they're going to run that conduit to run that through. And they might expand on that. They might make it or it's some other weird thing where that ties into the story later or something like that. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be a conduit point to access a bunch of old stories like they did with the timey-wimey stories in Dragonflight, with the Bronze Dragonflight, and they had all those little, where you go and fix the timeline to make sure the timeline happens, and those old stories, oh, pick up this grain of rice to make sure Arthas goes through here, or whatever it was, I don't remember, but you get what I'm trying to say. The continuity of the Titans timeline, right? So, I think here's my other theory that's related to that one, that's part of that theory. They might pull a Loki, where in the show Loki, or in the story of Loki from the Marvel universe, Loki becomes the tree of time, basically, and he holds all the timelines together to make sure the universe is unraveled for all the new timelines that end up getting generated, because the OG timeline that the Titans configured gets cut because of something that we did, because that's our whole, we're the unruly variable that no one can control, right? That's like our whole thing, right? We're the breakers of fate, they say, right? So that's my pigeonhole theory. I like Zaxxas. I'm a fan. I like the idea of his theory is that Northern's going to get picked up, and Alduar, the complex, is underneath all of Northrend. It's going to lift up into space because something that Ridicron does, and then it's going to be this whole thing, and it's going to become a giant cannon, basically, or something like that. And the Titans will have to come back to stop it, to fix it, and that's his whole. That's what I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. But that's kind of.
I mean, it's fun to speculate about, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's pure speculation. There's no fact in any of this, So
it's like being in college and sitting around and smoking a joint and being like, it would be cool if they just had Alduar fly up out of the sky. That'd be cool, man.
Oh my god, that's it's like if you're in high. I always think of that movie, The Night Before, the Seth Rogen movie, I think it is, where it's like the night before Christmas or whatever, and and they go to their dealer, and the dealer is like the kind of Christmas Carol. So it's a take on the Christmas Carol, where the drug dealer is the ghost of Christmas past and future and everything else. He's like, come with me, I want to show you. And he thinks they hit to go buy the whatever. and that's like their way of going through their past and their present and future, to reflect in their life, and that's kind of, that's what that makes me think of, is that kind of vibe. So
that's good stuff. Well, that's a great segue into, let's talk about Thrall's Balls, your podcast that you are part of, along with Wooly, Gershom, and sometimes Boomy Nation and Craig.
Booby, we miss you. Your spanking chair is or tie-up chair is with Gershie. She needs you to get that back, actually, in the room.
So Thrall's Balls. I went through a period of time where I was commuting to work on the train, and so in order to pass the time sitting on the train, I was like, I listened to music for a while, but then I started listening to podcasts, and I went through so many different podcasts. They're all gone now, and if I'm not mistaken, Thrall's Balls was one that started after COVID. Is that
I believe so. Yeah, it was after. Okay. It was during Shadowlands, I believe.
Yeah, because I don't remember that one being on the list. BFA. So when that one showed up, I was like, this is something new. This is something different. It's very different. It's you guys are the spirit cousins with the guys from Do Not Relent. So
yes.
Yeah, it's all in that same vibe, which I think is great. So why don't you talk about the podcast a little bit and tell us, kind of how you approach the show and how it is working with two different co-hosts on that.
So honestly, that show, okay, so I picked the whole me being on Thrall's Balls was actually completely random. There was another host, Ben Tolis was on the show, and there was another host named Flurpy, and they were both on the show for a while, and then they both left after a certain point. I don't know why. Personal reasons. They had to leave the show. And it was just the two of them for a while, and I was like, what's going on here? I was listening weekly for a while, and the thing is, Thrall's Balls, I did not start listening to Thrall's Balls until 2023, and the show started in 2021. So they had already been doing the show for a couple of years before I even started listening to them. And honestly, I had to go back and listen to a lot of the old episodes just to catch up.
Right.
And that was a long time. So I listened to a lot of podcasts, and in my desk job at work, I had a lot of time to just have something going on in my ears when it gets really quiet at the office. So I'm just clacking away, doing my work, and it lets me just zoom out and just hyperfixate whatever I'm working on, and it works for me. So it's hard to explain because it's a weird podcast to get into, first of all, right? They do the whole idea for me. I was getting into, I had just, at the same time when I started listening to this podcast, I had just started going down the mythology rabbit hole and started watching like YouTube videos about making cocktails at the same time.
Sure.
My girlfriend, my partner, she was volunteering at this local hotel, and she was looking to have a drinking cart of some kind. So I was looking for ways to make a drinking menu to help her out. And that was kind of what got me kind of thinking of making drinking menus that was based on like Lord of the Rings or WoW or just other fandoms of things that I have an interest in. And this was an avenue for me to, one, explore that, two, talk about WoW because I love WoW, and three, be able to be free about it and not have to worry about making it like a job where like there's work involved, but it's not the same as if like I'm starting my own podcast and I have ads, right? Where I'm making money off the podcast. And that's because that's not what I'm looking for. This is purely a hobby endeavor for me and purely a like non-monetary type of thing for me. It's totally not what I was looking for at all. And thankfully, I found that with Wooly and them because it was this good, right time, right place. I hit Wooly up. I loved their conversations and how raw they were. and how honest they were about themselves and how humble and how much humility they showed towards themselves and others. And it really was a way for me to feel comfortable talking about whatever the heck I felt like talking about, and not feeling I had to self-censor myself in any way because of that, and that's my whole thing is it's partially why I moved to where I moved to, where I'm from, and I'm originally from Florida, and I moved to Texas, and it was, I was looking for a better work environment, better type of work, higher pay, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what brought me out here. And I saw this as an avenue to kind of I saw it as a hobby, and I also saw it as a way for me to try out drinks to help my girlfriend out. And it was me trying to be supportive of her endeavor, and that's how it started. That's really what happened. And then once I started doing it, I got into it, and then I was like, fuck it. And I started I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Because she doesn't volunteer at that place anymore, but I still do this, Right. And I met so many people, and then I started and then housing came out, and I did that contest for housing, and I got involved with Warcraft Cares and all that, and that helped over the holidays, and then the house happened. All these good things have all been happening because I did this one good thing to try and help somebody else. And
right.
That's how I don't know, I just try, if I'm doing a good thing that's selfless, good things will come my way later on, and
karma.
Even if I'm not looking for those good things, right? And that's kind of how I just feel about it, and that's how I feel about the podcast. So
one of the things that I really like about Thrall's Balls is that the dynamic between the three of you is so good, because you've got Wooly, who's like the he's trying to wrangle cats, and you've got Gershom, and she'll just go off on a tangent, and I'll hear you just kind of like, you start to say something, you'll get cut off, and then just like, okay, and then you come back and like, and now I'm going to finish what I was saying. I love that, because you guys can all work through that, whereas some people would get I don't like that you're trying to tell me what to do, or you keep talking too much, or you keep changing the subject. No, you guys are just like free form, whatever.
What's funny? I've never once been mad at her about that. That's never once. She always apologizes.
How can you be mad?
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I grew up in a house where that was normal. And that's my secret weapon, is that like I grew up in a house where everyone talked over each other.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew up. So that's how I know how to converse with people. Like, I have no problem railroading a conversation. But I will let someone railroad me, though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and that I see it as a two-way street. So for me, like, obviously I'm probably respectful and wait for someone to finish what they're saying. But if someone has an idea, I know what it feels like to feel stifled in a conversation when you have an idea and the idea disappears. Yeah. And you lose your entire train of thought, and you have really something cool to say. You're like, dang it. And I totally relate to that, and I always want to make sure people feel like they can say whatever random thought they want to have and capture that. Yeah. That's
lightning in a bottle is really what it is. It's because sometimes you guys will go, and I can kind of hear the everybody's just kind of doing their thing, and then suddenly it'll just take off, and it'll go from 2 to 17. And everything just go, and then it's 30 minutes of, and then Wooly will be like, okay, so let me talk about my day now, or my week last, in World of Warcraft. And it's like, oh, that's right, they were still doing that. Yep.
I basically wanted to recreate but when I got on the podcast, when the way I think about it, I wanted to treat it as if you're in a freaking middle school lunchroom, but you're 40 or you're 30, but it's a lunchroom of 30-year-olds, okay? Yeah. And you're going table to table, and you're like the guy, you're not the popular kid, but you're not the loser kid, but you kind of know everyone, and you're kind of bouncing around table to table, talking to people. And you're kind of eating your lunch as you pop a squat next to somebody. You're eating your lunch for like 10 minutes, and then you're like halfway done with your food, and you pop to the next table, and then you pop to the next table, and then you pop to the next table. And that's how I feel about podcasting. It's kind of like this whole community of WoW podcasting has been very open and very chill. And I have yet to meet someone who's really rubbed me the wrong way Out everyone I've talked to, everyone I've dealt with, like, there's always toxicity in gaming, and to some level, there's always a little bit of different. Whenever you have a giant room of 100 people, there's going to be 2 assholes, right? Always. Yeah. Right? So no matter what you do, there's always, I mean, even if the trick is recognizing when I am the actual asshole in the situation. Right.
You don't want to turn it, oh, it's me. I'm the asshole.
Exactly. And sometimes I don't give a shit. Maybe I want to be an asshole that day. Maybe I had a bad day and I want to be an asshole that day. You know, and then sometimes it's better me stopping like, hey, maybe I should be an asshole right now because this person's having a really hard day. You know, and maybe I should be a dickhead to them. You know, and be able to draw that line, right? And having that control. And I don't know. Or just not being an asshole, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's my whole thing. Is like, I don't care what you believe or, you know, how you feel about, you know, religion or politics or any of that stuff. Just don't be an asshole. That's exactly my philosophy on life. So, and sometimes I am the asshole, but, you know, I try not to be. So you joined the podcast. So was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah, about 2 years ago. Yeah. It was January 2024.
Okay.
Maybe I think I guest spotted back in like November. I think December of 2023. It might have been like late 2023. I like came on once or twice, and then I actually started doing the shows like the first or second week of January.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you in that time since you joined, did you have a favorite guest that you've had on the show that you're like, yeah, this person was awesome?
I've only had one guest in the show so far since I've been on. And that was obviously Booming Nation, but I don't really consider him a guest. He's a host, so I never considered him a guest. Yeah, exactly. He's a part-timer. Johnnie from Mythic Dungeon League. So he was one of the guys that helped start up into the Dungeon League with Frank like years ago. Mm-hmm. And I got to talk to him about his tattoo art and the kind of person he is, and kind of delve into like who he is as a person outside of the game, and that was more what interested me. Like when I interview, I think about I try and not talk about WoW, and I obviously talk about how they got into the game and what to do and all that. But like for me, I like knowing the person outside of the game and how that relates to WoW, and that's kind of more how I try to relate to people, because I was a normie for a long time, and I wasn't a gamer in my early adulthood, and then I became a gamer. And so I pivoted back into gaming from being a normie. So for me, I like being able to be kind of on that other side of things, you know. Now, if you talk to me now, you wouldn't be able to tell. You know, like I'm the guy going to go paint my figurines, you know, like my pile of gray shame, you know, or whatever, you know, whatever Cthulhu, you know, game, or, you know, right. I think right now I'm in the middle of a campaign for Pandemic Legacy, you know, tabletop game stuff. So that's kind of my whole vibe now, you know. So it's a whole thing, you know.
And everyone's got their own individual journey, and you know, take you in places that maybe you weren't even expecting. So
dude, if you asked me 15 years ago to play WoW, I've told you to fuck off.
Yeah,
you know, like if you had told me in 2010, like, hey, you want to play World of Warcraft? I would have told you to fuck yourself. Like, I would have been like,
it's a stupid game.
Why would I play a game? It's called, you're using oil you're using, but I will have told you some sort of weird fact about how much energy you're using playing the video game or some nonsense like that, and told you, you know, go pick some flowers. How about you go volunteer with me and join Peace Corps or whatever. And like I would have been so self-righteous and idiocy about it, the whole thing. It would have been a whole thing. Yeah, it was. I can show you some pictures later if you want to see of some of the stuff I used to do. It's you would not recognize me. It's very like, oh.
See, sounds like my daughter when she was in college. It's just like, oh, okay, that's great.
I was the barefoot kid. On campus. I was the kid that was walking around building like Veracement tanks at the community garden, like, you know, laying concrete barefoot, bending pipe, doing 45s, and I was folding rebar and stuff. It was a whole vibe. It was.
So one of my favorite bits on Thrall's Balls is, as you mentioned, the mixed drink of the week, because that was actually something that I had thought about doing, something like that. But then when I heard you guys doing it, I was like, there's no way I could. There's no way I could do that.
They've been doing it for years. That's why that was the big selling point for me, because I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even found I found your podcast right after I found Thrall's Balls, because I joined Thrall's Balls, and now I saw your podcast. I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, what? So I was talking about Classic, and I was talking about Classic 2 for a while because I was playing SOD. So it was like this whole cool thing going on for a while, because I was like watching your content. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I wasn't playing regular Classic. I played Hardcore. I did play Hardcore. Anniversary. I got to like level 20 something or 30 something. It was like level 29, I think I got to, and I died.
Yeah, that's when I started the podcast, was when I was playing Hardcore, the original Hardcore that they released in 2023 or whatever. But yeah, once I died on all my characters, I was like, yeah, I'm not starting again. That's not for me. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So. Let's talk about podcasting a little bit, because I'm always curious to talk to people from a technical standpoint. What do you like about podcasting, like in terms of the actual getting on there, and you've got to set up your microphone, you're going back and forth. Do you find that to be an enjoyable part of it, or can you kind of just tune out all the technical stuff and you're like, I'm just chit-chatting in the middle school lunchroom with my friends?
So I have mixed feelings about that, actually, because back in the day I used to do a lot of free loops and just like using recording software for music. And when I was doing music for a long time, in my college days, I was super into that, and like sound levels and like figuring out gain and all that, and like messing with the levels and all that. I was super into that for a while, and then once I got older, when I got into podcasting specifically, I was more about the camaraderie and the conversation and the dynamics of how people talk to each other. And because to me, it was kind of a foreign concept to me for a really long time, because I just didn't understand. I was really bad at reading people for a long time, so it didn't compute for me for a long time. So it still feels like a new science to me,
Right, I gotcha.
So
Willie does all the sound, all the editing.
Yes, he does. He does all the editing. He does all that after we record. All we do is that me and Gershie just show up. I will help write notes. I like writing notes. I like writing scripts, or like writing, at least pulling the news articles and like finding out what's been going on, like keeping tabs on things. That's more my end of like what I like to do. Now, most weeks Willie will just do that, but I will also do my own independent research and like look up my own links and figure out and compare, like maybe there's something that maybe he missed or something that I want to talk about, and I'll insert that, and then that'll become a talking point during the news section. But these days, honestly, we spend so much time bullshitting the first half of the podcast that we end up kind of we go on so many tangents now that by the time we get to the news part, it was like this is what we do the news.
I got you. So basically, you and Gershom are just the on-air talent, and right
for the yeah. Willie is the main one that actually does all the back end work. I have done that in the past, but I haven't touched Audacity. He uses Audacity, I believe, for everything. He might use some other tools to, like with OBS, whatever, or some other tools to like hook the soundboards and all that together. I think he actually has a soundboard as well, I believe, and has that hooked up for his end. That he's told me before. But me, recording-wise, this is all kind of new to me. I just came on wanting to have cool conversations about WoW and speculate and talk about, the good old days or the new old days or the new days that we're having
old days,
now,
That's awesome.
So,
okay, so I have a question for you. Because normally when you do Thrall's Balls, you guys aren't on. You guys might be looking at each other on Discord, but you're not on camera for the podcast, right?
No, we're entirely audio.
So do you have a preferred podcasting outfit, like pajamas, shorts, and a t-shirt, a full suit?
Two things. There's two things. One, I'm never wearing pants.
Okay.
I'm always wearing shorts. I wear either jersey knit, or I'm wearing basketball shorts of some kind. Yeah. And I'll usually wear a polo like this, or I'm wearing what called? Yeah, I'm usually wearing polo and shorts, usually of some kind. If I'm not wearing a polo and shorts, I'm wearing, some sort of heather knit t-shirt or some sort of like Harbor Bay pocket tee.
But something comfy and relaxing.
Always. Unless I was doing a special edition episode where we're going to be on camera, then sure, I'd wear a tie and a suit or whatever, or suspenders and a dress shirt or something like that. But for what we're doing, like, unless I was presenting something like an award show or some sort, or we were doing a bit, then sure, I would dress up for the bit. But like, that's the only time I'm going to do that. It all depends what the bit, one, what the bit is, and two, what are we trying to pull off here, and what are our goals, Yeah. But when I podcast, I want to be as comfy as possible. I want to be able to kind of have like whatever. I want to be as comfortable as humanly possible. I want to be able to just kind of vibe out and actually feel my feelings and kind of let those come out fluidly, because I normally have a hard time doing that. I'm very more well guarded normally in person.
I support that 100%.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you said just a second ago, and I know we're running up against time for you because you got to go record Thrall's Balls.
I got about another 20-30 minutes I can do.
Okay. I want to go back to what you were talking about with your music. So you shared some of your music with me, and I thought it was really good. When you're listening to different music, because for me, one of the things that really gets me about WoW is the music. And whatever zone I'm in, whatever feelings I'm supposed to have, I do, because the music is done so well. And the design and the layout of the zones and all those things, those help. But to me, the music is really what sells it. Can you kind of give me your take on the game, the music in the game, and how, as a musician, how you listen to it differently than someone like me who's just a music enjoyer?
So, for me, I don't listen to lyrics ever. I am not a lyrical person. I used to go out of my way to find non-lyric versions of rock songs. So, like, let's say, even, I guess, like someone like Billy Joel or Queen or Ellen John. Like, if they're primarily a singer, but they also play, that's a little different, or R&B or rap, or that's different because it's all about the lyrics most of the time. Unless it's someone like The Alchemist or someone like that, or someone else who is known for making the beats, and that's like their whole thing. That's like the whole, because some artists, it's all about both. Sometimes it's only about the music, and the lyrics are just there are just filler to fill in with the music, to bind with the music. And some people, it's all about the lyrics. But most of the music I like is, I listen to a lot of musicals. I listen to a lot of like prog rock, prog metal. I listen to a lot of, jazz, and instrumental music is mostly what I listen to. So the more instrumental it is, the more I'm going to like it, which is why I really like the WoW soundtrack, because most of it is very orchestral and just instrumental. This soundtrack's been phenomenal. I am tone deaf.
Okay.
So I can't hear a G and play a G. I can sight read though.
Right. Okay.
So for me, I'm not listening for like, oh, is this in G major or B major or whatever? I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking time signatures. I'm thinking, what is the groove they're going for? Is there a groove? Is this a mechanical feeling? Am I purely having an emotional reaction to this? How is this melding with what I'm doing in the game?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the artistic view I'm going through. Like, for example, I'm sure everyone's done this when they're playing Midnight right now. When you first get out of the scenario for the Sunwell and you're going towards Silver Moon City, and you get off your mount like a good boy or a good gamer, and you walk across the bridge because you're not going to skip this amazing scenery I've seen. The giant void ball with the Sunwell shooting a beam of light into it, and sidetrack. That's why I think Shadowlands failed. I don't believe all this nonsense but the mechanics of the game. I think the fact that the centralized area that you were playing in was not Icecrown Citadel and not the opening of the sky, and that was not really part of the gameplay of every day. Because every time I go into Midnight, I see that cool visual. Because I'm sure everyone hated the fact that a lot of people didn't care for how easily she beat Mr. Four Dragon, right? And that was kind of like a talking point back then when it came out. But everyone shut their mouths when she broke the crown and the whole sky opened. Right. If that was part of the everyday gameplay when you were playing the mall and you saw Azeroth in the skybox and it wasn't that boring thing, I bet you wouldn't give a flying fuck if you couldn't mount or not. Because you'd be looking up like, holy shit, look at that. And I feel like that piece, like these architectural, I call them architectural windows, and I feel like these elements of artistry were just missing in Shadowlands, in my opinion. And the fact that the zones were not connected. I think there's a lot of elements like that kind of made Shadowlands fail. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's part of why Midnight's so awesome, because everything's connected to the old world. Not only is it new zones, even though it's existing zones, they're really new zones, right? Like, you took a dungeon raid and made a whole zone out of it, right? And they took a city that was really like a 2 rooms and a skybox and turned that into a whole zone. And then combined 2 other zones, whatever, Ghostlands and Arizona was, right? They kind of combined them, whatever, either way. Still, the fact that they updated all that and they made that whole new thing, but I feel like that whole connectivity, I don't know. I just feel like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, here's an example. A good example from this expansion is in Horrendar. Mm-hmm. When you are doing the Den of Echoes and you're going through that quest line and you first get into that, you go to the portal. The portal's like, what? I don't care about the portal, right? That's dumb, right? You go through and you're like in this dark cave. You're like, why am I in a cave? And you kind of, and it's playing that like Avatar-ish soundtrack, and you're like, and it's like, ooh, 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 ooh. And then you finally see the giant reef in the sky, and you're like, oh shit, where am I? And that, or like Belladar, another great example. You're swooping down that little tunnel from Ringing Deeps, and you see Belladar. These are the kind of things that they need more of, and I feel like there is a lacking sometimes, and I feel like people aren't. But honestly, I have been finding them, but they weren't part of the questing experience. I had to seek them out. And that's kind of the part about it that I feel like people are missing out on, because they're not going to seek out these views, right? Because they want that plattered experience. They want that theme park ride. And then have to wait again to go back to the next one. You couldn't just, yeah. The motif was perfect. Yeah, exactly. I like the diversity of having flying ground mounts. Like for me, like if I've already seen a zone, when I'm leveling, yeah, I'm doing ground mounts for the most part. The only time I'm flying is if I'm already done with the zone and I'm flying back to turn in my quest. You know, I like doing quests in batches. Like what I usually do is that I'll take one tune and I do my campaign right on my first tune, and then I'll grab a whole zone of quests and just do all the quests. Yep. And then when I'm done with the quest, then I fly back and I turn them all in. And that's kind of how I gameplay through things. And then
it's like the old school way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very old school with that. Like I like doing waves. Now, some certain zones like Harandar, I didn't do that. Harandar actually went through as you went.
It's tougher to do.
It's Voice Storm too.
It's more vertical. Harandar is than Eversong or Zulaman. Definitely, but you know, I really like the music. To me, the music is one of the best features of WoW. And I mean, I'll sit and I'll just listen to WoW music sometimes when I'm working. Maybe I don't want to listen to a podcast because I need to think about words or numbers or whatever, and somebody talking in my ear isn't going to work. So I just need some music to drown everything out, and I'll go WoW music.
I want to say my favorite expansion soundtrack. You know, I hate to say it. I want to say BFA.
It was really good.
It was really good.
So good.
Yeah, like just the whole sea shanty vibe. Like I was so into it at the time, and then like Zandalar 2 was so good. And I would normally say MOP, but you know, once you hear when you're in the what's the N in the Veil. The
Shrine of the Sevens.
I hate that song so much. I heard that song for 3 years straight, or however many years the expansion was, every day, queuing for dungeons and scenarios back in the day, and I cannot tell you how many times I wanted to just like bang my head against the wall until I couldn't feel anything anymore because of that song. But not literally, but like it was like. It was just all the time. Like I would rather. I started logging out and Crasering Wilds because I couldn't stand the song or couldn't line Summit. Now, goated, low key, doing the quest line in the mountain of Kunlai Summit that leads into Mogishan Vaults is one of the coolest quest lines ever. Like that whole. When you find out about the Thunder King and you didn't even know the Thunder King existed, you didn't even know what that was. They hadn't announced the raid yet. You're like, what is the Thunder King?
Who's this guy? Yeah.
That mystery. I feel like that mystery is what's missing a lot of times. That like, even though it's foreshadowing stuff, it's like there's I feel like data mine kind of takes that a little bit out of the picture because they've already data mined the files to the next patch or whatever, and they're already kind of digging into it. It kind of takes away from that mystery of things a little bit, you know?
It does. It definitely does. But, you know, that's the modern... It's not just WoW, it's modern
gaming. It's just modern gaming, yeah.
Or modern entertainment, honestly. I mean, think about it.
It's the 21st century paparazzi is what I see it as.
I feel like for a lot of people... who may not even realize it, they're missing out on a lot of the game because they play without the sound on, or they play without music. They're like, oh no, I listen to my own music and I just turn off the WoW music. It's like,
I do that sometimes when I'm raiding. I do that.
Oh, sure, okay, yeah.
When I'm doing prog pulls on a raid, like the first time I go through a raid, I'll play with the sound on. But once I've seen the raid on normal mode, I'm not putting that music back on over and over and over. Unless the exception was Undermine.
I was just gonna say Undermine with the exception. That was so good.
Chef's kiss. Man.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
If I could I wanted just a soundtrack of just Undermine, and just have that as a whole soundtrack, and I'd be okay with that. I think I have that in my house. There's that app, that add-on you can do that they put in the game. Because they haven't implemented the remember the jukebox from the Garrisons? They haven't put that in the house jukebox. Again. It blows my mind that they haven't done that. I don't know how they. I know they have to have that in the works somewhere. We're gonna get there. They probably are waiting for something to happen to make it like. And why is it not in the Argentina? Why is it? They should totally make that a thing.
Could
you imagine like people playing gold or like some like a public jukebox in Argentina and people like
that would be so
over?
Fun. Yeah,
do it by battle center, or whatever. Not the server, but like by battle group or whatever they call it for the PvP.
Well, yeah, but then you'd end up with people doing like the John Mulaney "What's New Pussycat" when you played that. "What's New Pussycat"?
Exactly. yeah. Well, no, not any song. It would just be WoW songs, obviously.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It's I actually, thinking about the Undermine music and having jazz in WoW. It's because there is a little bit of more modern music in WoW, even though most of it is that more orchestral soundtrack. Do you see a place for more modern music in World of Warcraft?
I think yes, but it has to fit the motif they're going for. I feel like they missed an opportunity with gnomes and Mechagon. I really think they missed the mark on that. I feel like they could have done something modern with that, and they leaned too hard into like the old school gnome music. I feel like they missed something. I think they missed an opportunity there. I think, in my opinion, because I like gnomes a lot, and I thought Mechagnomes were cool. And I don't play with Mechagnome, but I thought gnomes were kind of cool back then. Old dude gnomes, old man, the gray haired,
right,
wizard.
Yes, yeah. I had a gnome. One gnome. I've leveled up one gnome. His name was Little Guy, and he was a warrior. And I race changed him to a night elf because I couldn't stand playing somebody small.
Yeah, I have my mage is a void elf now, and then my warlock's dark iron.
Okay.
That was the one race I'd always wanted when I first made my first character. I was so mesmerized with Rock Mountain and that whole lore behind how they made Ragnaros happen out of nowhere and why that happened, and Good and Thorson and everyone else, and that whole storyline with the daughter, and everything else, his wife. So good old Moira.
Champion.
Champion.
If there was a race in WoW that could go with a heavy metal aesthetic, I would definitely call it Dark Iron Dwarves. That to me, that works.
100.
That would
100. Yes, I'm surprised they with ETC. I would have thought they would have done that already. Like they had it with Dark Moon Fair kind of when they had the ETC concert, right? But they really haven't really doubled down on that. Maybe they couldn't find because ETC wouldn't do it, so they would have to find somebody.
Well, ETC was a passion project for one of the upper management at Blizzard.
No, I know, but I'm just saying if they were going to hire a group to do it, you know what I mean? Like who do they pick? And I feel like they know better that there's going to be rivalries, with metal, as we all know. So I feel like that's kind of the whole. That's a whole conversation to have. So, there's always little, bickering, sides on a topic about that. And
well, yeah, I mean, we just went through that on the Discord on the Azeroth United Discord, which you can get at AzerothUnitedPod.com. Where everyone was listing out their favorite metal acts, and you were not impressed with Metallica as a popular choice. So.
I mean, I was surprised that people weren't just listening to what bands they're listening to right now. That's what I was surprised. I mean, I'm sure people have been listening to Metallica now, but it's usually what you hear on the radio and not.
I only listen to Metallica from the 80s and 90s. I'm like the modern stuff to me it's okay.
Feels okay, but there's a couple songs from the later stuff that I like, but it's really hit or miss for me. It's like I might like one song, that pops up. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like. They're all, sobered up and grandparents now and whatever. So, I get it, They're doing their thing. I call it dad metal is what I call it now.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's not it's just one of those things where it's like when they sold out and they knew they were selling out and they owned it, right? Like they knew they were getting something too. It's like they were with the label and everything. It's all, they need to support their families, and I get it. They're trying to protect their craft as much as they can. They're trying to fight against the tide of technology for a long time, and I get why they did it. I don't agree with it, but I get why they did it. You know what I mean? And I don't hate people that like Metallica. It's not like you listen to Metallica, so you suck. That's not how I feel about it. I just don't care for them as people, like the actual band. Like I think they're kind of goobers.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And the whole dad rock thing kind of cracks me up because it's like, I remember listening to Foo Fighters when I was young, and now they're dad rock, and it's like, okay.
Learn to Fly is like a dad song now. I'm like, what? Like that's like my high school. Like, or Franz Ferdinand is dad rock. That's a whole thing. I'm like, whoa, like what is going on here?
Weird. It is very weird. It's so strange that how the music industry has changed. It's in our lifetime because you probably still remember MTV. I don't know. I know.
Yeah.
And now
MTV,
it's all gone.
ET, all of it, dude. Like it was. Yeah.
And it everything is Spotify and or YouTube. That's how you listen to music nowadays. So.
Yeah. Or I guess there's Pandora too, and like there's a few other not last FM, like iHeartRadio.
But it's all the same streaming music, even listening to music on the radio. I'll turn on the radio in the car. I've got an older Mustang that doesn't have like the Bluetooth and all that stuff. So all I can do is listen to the radio, and they're talking half the time. They're not even playing songs. They're just yapping about whatever. And I guess it's more ads, more revenue, but it's like, I just want to listen to some music. So I don't know. Music industry.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yep. I mean, I'm a sucker for Spotify, but I was only a sucker for Spotify because they bought Last.fm, and I was a Last.fm sucker. That was my whole thing. I loved their algorithm because a lot of the bands I found they're using the Last.fm algorithm back in the day because it was all about what the bands listened to, and that's what I was super into. I was like, I want to know who they listen to, and kind of go that route, and I thought that was novel, at the time.
Yeah, I mean it's always going to be technology driven, but it's, to me at the end of the day, is the song good? That's all I care about.
Oh yeah.
I just want to be able to listen to good music, and that's how it is. So, all right. Last thoughts before we go. I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite end game content type? Like if you had to pick one thing of the end game content, what would you pick?
That's a hard one. I'm gonna say raid, but more often than not, I've been liking delves more.
Delves are good.
They
started out rough.
Yes, I did not like delves originally. Also, I did not like the Nemesis bosses at all. I was not into that. I don't like Elden Ring or Demon Souls or any of those. I mean, I played them. I just don't like them. I don't like being pigeonholed into builds because the play style that I want to do only works if I do this build. Fuck off with that. I know you can do all the different builds, whatever, but like you have to have a certain. You have to fit your play style. You have to find the build that fits your play style. In some of those games, there's only one build that really fits your play style, the way you like to play, and then you're kind of pigeonholed. I don't like that. I'd rather them just not have that and just have one way to play than have that whole weird having to figure out. I have to look at build up online and just to figure out how to play.
What's the point then? You're not experimenting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for a game, like a story game like that. Like, that's why I like God of War, because God of War, you just got everything, right? And then you can just pick which 3 or 4 abilities you wanted to play with and do your own combos. That's... Mm-hmm. I thought that was way better. So I'm about the narrative.
Speaking of delves, Delve Companion, Bran or Valera?
That's a hard one. For the items, I like Bran's items better so far. I don't like the new. I don't like the new hearts. I like the potions better. Like the hearts fuck with my depth perception.
Oh yeah, because they're up in the air.
Because they're up in the air. I like the potions better because I can easily see that as a circle. I can run over it there.
Yep.
But I do like Valera's how she attacks the mob so far, and it's much more passive. And I don't have to really wrangle her around too much. She kind of just goes in all the time, go in, because she's a rogue. So I do like that better, in my opinion. And I have her as a healer.
Right. See, I find I'm frustrated because since I play a Blood DK, my goal in a delve would be, okay, I'm going to go round everything up and then kill it all. And she's like, well, I'm going to attack this guy over here. And so now I've got mobs all over the place. And it's like, can you just bring them in, please? No, my whole thing with Valera is that over Bran is that at least with Valera, we don't have to worry about the champion, I've lost all my clothes. It's like, they're not going to do that with Valera. So thankfully we don't have to deal with that stupid storyline.
Yeah. That'll be weird. That'll be Akko Taco. Yeah. The voice lines are a little creepy.
It is a little weird.
They're a little too much fan service, I like to call it. A little too much.
Well, I didn't even know who she was before. Like, that's not even a character I was familiar with. Because I knew her first, though. So for me, it's like, who the hell is this? I kept wanting to call her Barisa because of Barisa.
It's a classic.
Windrunner.
I think we've done it on the show before. I'm pretty sure I think Willie's done it on the show. If not, I have. I'm pretty sure.
All right, and then prediction: who's going to be the final boss at midnight?
Final boss of midnight. I don't think it's going to be Xalatath. I think it's going to be. If it's not Xalatath, I think it's going to be some like Naru type thing.
Okay.
I think it's either going to be some sort of Naru or some sort of, or it's going to be that like maybe that lady from the Arathi questline. Like super juiced up with light.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like maybe we kill Xalatath and then the Scar Crusade pours in with the Arathi and some like mechanized like light Naru filled like light warrior from the other side of the continent or whatever. That's what I think. I don't know. I think it's gonna be some sort of either some crazy light beam type thing, or
So you're definitely going with the light is going to be the true villain.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen. If it's not Xalatath, or I think what they'll do is Xalatath will be the second to last boss, and then the last boss it'll be like some crazy like this light thing comes through a portal, goes now we can control everything. Yep. Let's quash all the void now. Let's do it. Or maybe it's Tyrallion.
See, that's my guess is Tyrallion.
And he's like he's like fully like Naru powered,
light juiced up. Yeah, he'll have a light
super light juiced up. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed getting to just sit and talk to you. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so I'm really glad that we were able to make the time and jump on here. If folks want to get a hold of you, if they want to reach out to you on social media, or if they want to find Thrall's Balls, where can they find you?
You can find me on Discord at Johnnie.tips, or you can find me on Instagram at Johnnie.tips, JOHNNIE, period, TIPS. T is in Tom, I, P is in Philip, S is in Sam.
Okay. And Thrall's Balls?
ThrallsBallsPod.com or just ThrallsBalls.com. We have a Discord link tree on there. On Instagram it's at ThrallsBallsPod and ThrallsBallsPod@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, Johnnie, let's definitely do this again sometime. And looking forward to
BlizzCon.
BlizzCon's going to be great.
At least have a little conversation about some stuff. Maybe if we can't record, we can't record. But I'll give you more dates of what days I'm going to be there. I might be screwed on the days because I might only be able to get there because I only booked my hotel Friday through Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Like check out Monday at like 11 or whatever, and then do whatever after. But I don't know. I might book a separate hotel room and I come early. Like if I might drive. If I drive, I might do a thing where I book a separate hotel for like a night or two early to do whatever.
Well, I definitely think we should try and get at least a quick, multi-podcast recording going. We'll get Dave in there. We'll whoever else wants to be part of it, and
I'll pack my mic.
Yeah, I'm definitely bringing my stuff.
Yeah, I have a desktop. I don't have a laptop. I have a desktop and I have my mic though. I can bring in. I can pack that up, or I can do it on my phone and hook up to my phone.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Looking forward to it though. All right, Johnny, you take care, and
too, sir.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
That's going to wrap up our show for this week. Thank you so very much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. If you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or if you have a particular topic that you'd like to hear discussed, you can email us at feedback@AzerothUnitedPod.com, or you can jump on our Discord server by going to our website, AzerothUnitedPod.com, and you'll have all the links there to get on the Discord, to get on the Patreon, and all that stuff. So check out the website and send the feedback. We'd love to hear it. If you want to get hold of me directly, you can send me a message on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar on both those platforms, or you can reach out to me on Discord. That's also a really good way to reach me. If you're enjoying the show and you would like to help us out, you can consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those both really help out with the distribution. Spotify comments help out a lot. Apple Podcast reviews help out a tremendous amount. Apple Podcast, still the name of the game, whether you like them or not. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can help us out by giving us a like and a comment and a subscribe. We do have one Spotify comment from last week, and this was for the Story of Midnight episode. So it was episode 127. This is from Toby Brash. I wonder why you insist on doing follower dungeons if you find them so painful. You can use the dungeon finder, especially if you're a tank, because the queue insta pops. You know what, Toby? You're absolutely right. I realized that afterward, that it's not required to do follower dungeons. I could have just queued for a dungeon, but I didn't. And by the time I was leveling my paladin, I had already decided to go ret, and it was much easier to get into it. I tried queuing for a regular dungeon when I had to do Magister's Terrace, but I was ret, and I didn't feel like going back to prot because I hadn't gotten a weapon. And long story short, yes, you're right. I could have just done regular dungeons. I'm a dum-dum. My bad. Sometimes we do things and we complain and somebody goes, you could have just done this. And it's like, I just wanted to complain, damn it. Anyway, thank you, Toby, for the comment. I really do appreciate it. Sometimes you read a comment and you're like, well, yeah, I know, but I already said it, so it's too late. Well, if you are enjoying the show, you might want to consider helping us out by joining our Patreon. This is where people can, if they choose to do so, donate their IRL money to help out with the production of the show. As I've said in the past, I'm not trying to make a bunch of money off of the podcast. I'm going to make money off of these idiots. No, if you want to help out, I would love to help. If you don't, that's okay. You can enjoy the podcast. Azeroth United will always be free. But if you would like to help, I would very much appreciate it. So patreon.com/Azeroth United is how you get to our Patreon. There are 3 tiers of patrons. There is the free tier that you can just jump on there and be part of the Patreon. There's the standard tier, which is $1. And there's the friend of the show tier, which is $3. So we have 2 new patrons this week that I wanted to thank. We have Azurin and Agro Management. So thank you to both of you for joining the Patreon. It's, like I said, very much appreciated, and you guys are awesome. And I do want to thank all of our friend of the show patrons at this point. So that's Stuglife, Thelial, Greybeard, Raven, Azurin, and Agro Management. So thank you to all of you for being the friend of the show patrons. It really means a lot to me. As I've said before, it's kind of brings a little tear to my eye to know that people actually care enough to support me. So thank you so much. And I hope I'm living up to your expectations. And that's it. That's the whole show. So thank you again. I really hope you enjoyed the interview with Johnnie Tibbs. He's a great guy. And check out Thrall's Balls. That's a great podcast. As I said in the interview, it is a little chaotic. So if that's not your speed, okay. But it's worth a listen to. Give them at least one listen. And definitely check out the Mixed Drink of the Week segment on the episode. All right. Okay. Thank you again for listening. Remember to be good to each other out there. It's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. And, it doesn't hurt to be nice and to just be a kind person and be considerate of other people. In other words, don't be an asshole. Just smile and have fun. All right. Take care. I love you all. And I'll see you in Azeroth.